This is Good Morning San Diego.
Well, the end of the year is just weeks away, and for those looking to buy or sell real estate in 2025, there are some new laws to be aware of. Here now to break down some of the laws going into effect, licensed California real estate broker Mark Powell. Good morning, Mark. Good to see you as always. Well, thank you.
Before we start, I just want to say I watched Breaking and Entering Christmas with you and Tommy, and it was just such a kind thing. What you guys do every year is very heartwarming and just shows the generosity KUSI has, and Tommy and you for the community. Very kind.
Well, very sweet. Tommy does all the hard work. I just I show up to make sure we're all stay in order. But really a really sweet moment Saturday if you were able to see that. So thank you. I appreciate that. As we're looking at real estate laws that are going into effect next year, especially for San Diego, I mean, we are just seeing these numbers staying really high.
Well, the home market is very sluggish. Home prices are going up now. The median home price is almost back to $1 million. That's because homes that are in the $750,000, $800,000 range, which is a lot of money, they sell quickly. The other homes that are higher priced, they're staying on the market a little bit longer. So surprisingly, we have low home sales, yet prices went up last year 7% and are slated to go up another 3 to 4% in 2025. So it's going to be a little bit challenging for first-time home buyers entering into the San Diego real estate market. Yeah,
and with the increase in the mortgage rates, interest rates, we're seeing that it's going to cost you more to buy the house. So maybe the house isn't going to be what you expect because you have to cut back on the prices there. But as we look at laws and how it could change what we're seeing in today's landscape, what do buyers and sellers need to be aware of?
One of the biggest changes or laws that has been implemented is buyers now have to have a signed contract with a buyer's agent. That means the buyer has to pay their agent for their services. It used to be the seller would pay both. Now the buyer has to have a signed contract. Now this contract was negotiated upon because of a National Realtor Association lawsuit saying that there was some type of conspiracy to keep commissions high. That was adjudicated in the court, and they decided to settle. So now buyers have to be represented by their buyer's agents. The seller is no longer mandated to pay the commission.
And what about if there's an agent who's doing both sides of the deal?
So this is kind of tricky. That's called a dual agency. Now, the buyer can still request, or the buyer's agent can request the seller to pay the commission, but all negotiations for commissions can no longer be placed on the multiple listing service. They're between the buyer's agent and making a request, or the buyer making a request to the listing, to the seller. So that's how that works now.
Now, in your professional opinion, is this good for the real estate market here in San Diego, or is this really a negative?
Well, it's different. So I wouldn't say it's good or bad. It's different. It's just a different way for buyer's agents to earn their commission. They're just going to have to request it. They're not going to split their commission anymore like they used to do when you had a listing. Let's say it was 5%. A listing agent would say, well, I'll give 2.5% of my commission to any agent that brought in a qualified buyer. That is the part that actually changed. No longer sharing, that commission sharing is no longer allowed in the real estate industry.
Do you anticipate any other big changes, either in way of inventory or building regulations, that could change what we're seeing in this now sluggish market?
I do see some changes. San Diego is kind of landlocked. We have Mexico on one side, the ocean on the other side, Camp Pendleton, and then we have the mountains. So we're limited on the amount of land. So what you're seeing now is we're not going out, we're going up. And as you know, there's proposals to make massive buildings in areas of San Diego. We may eventually start to see some of these, even residential neighborhoods, being impacted by large apartment complexes, maybe even condominium complexes if certain laws change. And there's also some other laws that have changed that are kind of interesting. Another one is, if you're in a domestic violence kind of situation and you have a restraining order, or there was a police report, the landlord now has 24 hours to change the locks of the house to keep that person out. If they don't change the locks, this was a clarification in the law, the person living there can change the locks, and the landlord is on the hook for paying that expense. And also, when you go to rent a house now, remember when you wanted to get your security deposit back, and the landlord might just say, you have dirty carpets, or there's some holes in the wall. Now they're forced. They have to take pictures of the house before you lease it or rent it, and they have to take after photos and give you enough time to make those necessary changes. So that photo addendum is really important. It's just not a speculation anymore.
Well, it's a good idea to do that anyway, just to protect yourself in those situations. But Mark, thank you so much. I mean, we'll see what changes come.
And there's a bunch more laws. Maybe we can discuss some more in the future.
All right. Thanks, Mark.